Welcome to With You Podcast.
where we explore relationships and life transitions.
I'm David.
And I'm Tara. And we're celebrating another year of married life.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I can't believe it comes around faster every year.
I don't know about that, but this one we spent apart.
We did. Yeah, this was, that's not normal.
No, that's not the usual.
No, usually we're together.
Usually.
Traveling. But this
you
time
were
I got
across, you were at like, how many thousands of miles away?
I
Many
think it
thousand.
was like 6,000 miles
Yeah.
away. So I was in
Yeah.
Nairobi
Yeah.
this last
And I was here.
anniversary, and you were here. And we did have a little conversation.
Well, we had a video call every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about technology, because we can connect even when we're traveling versus just writing a letter and waiting a month for it to get to you. I'd
Right.
be home by that time.
It's been a long time since that was the way we had to communicate.
Yeah. The irony is I was in Nairobi for a global summit on marriage and family therapy. So celebrating marriage
Without your wife.
without my wife.
That's all right. That's all right. The good thing, I think, for us is that we've never hung too tightly to having to celebrate on the day.
Right.
You know, even Christmas, we're happy to celebrate with family on not the 25th. And for our anniversary, we just catch it when we can.
Yeah, it's flexible. I mean, it's close-ish. It's anniversary-ish.
Yeah.
Like I have plans for you for tomorrow.
Was that to do with our anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
we'll go to another city and kayak.
That sounds perfect.
That seems to
That's
be
exactly what we need to do.
get out in the boat, get out on the water, and just enjoy being together and then drifting
And
apart
some quiet time.
and coming back together and saying,
It's
oh,
been chaos this summer.
it has.
like
Like,
chaos.
what have you been doing?
I mean, good chaos, but chaos.
it feels like a sprint. How long can you sprint for before it's a bad thing?
That's what we ask ourselves all the time. We keep trying to find the line.
If only someone would have a podcast on resting and taking a break.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we should listen to that one. I
Yeah.
think we acknowledged that wasn't our strong suit.
Yeah, and it's been really good things and things that are building our relationship together, even though it's fast moving and a bit chaotic.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of, I feel like we're at the peak of all of the things we've worked towards,
Yeah.
both like personally and professionally, like our professional careers separately and together.
Yep.
All of those things are kind of at their peak. So we're saying yes to a lot of stuff and then, complaining about it.
I don't think it's unique to us though, because like traveling this last few
Yeah.
weeks, it's been chaos. Like the amount of people traveling, it feels like people are on the move again. There was we had that little break of reality for 2 years called COVID.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that. I feel like it's a rebound effect. Like
Yeah.
it's 5 years, it's been 5 years since COVID hit. And I think now people are just now really getting out. We're noticing that everywhere. In
Yeah.
the airport, on the roads. It just,
Trying to cross our street.
yeah.
It feels like people are out and moving
on the
again.
move.
Because it was a quiet time. Like we'd walk through the neighborhood and never see another soul. and now we can't cross our street. But I think globally too, like the Europeans are not real excited about all the tourists coming
Right.
in.
Yeah, there's more Americans that go into Europe and there's like what are they calling it? Over tourism, like
Yeah.
just a lot of overcrowding
And people are just getting tired of the bustle and the hustle.
yeah. So instead of going on a big trip for anniversary, we'd rather just go find a river.
Yep.
Just kayak quietly down the river.
A lazy river. If only it would go in a circle, like at the water
Would be
park.
so nice. That's the hardest part. So I know a lot of people will go, drive and drop off.
Upstream.
Right.
Yeah.
And then have to get picked up, or I forget how people do it. Bring two cars. I don't know. We tend to just drive ourselves there in one car. We get into the river going against the flow so that it's easier coming back with the flow.
That's right.
So we go up, we turn around at some point, come back to our car, but with the flow of the river.
Because we have energy at the beginning, and then we just coast.
We've
on
learned
the way back.
the hard way, I think.
Yeah.
When you're trying to go home against the flow, and you're like, I'm not moving.
Well, you're excited at the beginning, and if you go with the flow, you're going a lot farther, and then you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like we
Now what
have
are
to
we
get
gonna
back
do?
to the car. And there's that one time we were on the river that it was a little shallow.
Oh my goodness. That was so funny.
It was
We
not cool
we
because we went
why? How did
downriver.
that
You
happen?
were in
We
point.
we
You went ahead,
well, we went to a place we'd never kayaked before. We thought we could
right?
get from this one bridge on the Fox River to another place.
And you did fine.
Well, not fine. I mean, it was very shallow. We got to a certain point. It was very shallow. I could feel my kayak kind of scraping the bottom a little bit, but I made it through. And then
I displaced a
I
little more
looked
water.
back. You're just completely grounded,
I
just
know,
sitting there
and I'm
on the
scooting,
rocks, like help, help. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
and you were doing this. You were laughing your butt off.
Well, and bystanders, people walking down the side of the river, were enjoying it. Let's
Yeah,
just say.
I had to get out
Well, that's
and
what, because
walk
you were
it
like
over.
trying to, with your paddles, trying to push your, and you're scooching, scoot,
Yeah,
scoot, scoot.
I want
And
people just to picture this
this
of
is like calf deep. You need to get out and
yeah.
pull your kayak.
I'm trying to paddle gravel to move me, and it was just not happening.
Let's find a deeper place in
I
the
think that
river.
was our last anniversary kayak trip.
It might have been.
So we always have fun
We do.
not at each other's expense.
That's not the goal.
No, but
Sometimes it's
it was
a bonus.
well. Today we're going to talk about anniversaries,
Yeah, we thought we would
and
talk about anniversaries.
given that we just had one, and it's been a good ride.
And for everybody, anniversaries come around of one sort or another. And we're not just
Yeah,
talking about the anniversary of a wedding.
correct.
Anniversaries, well, like today's my birthday. It's the anniversary of my
Hey,
birth.
happy birthday! Doing anything special?
Yeah, we got people coming over in like a few minutes.
Oh yeah, so we got to hurry.
But yeah, so everybody celebrates the anniversary of something every
Yeah,
year. Things
yeah,
come back around. We remember our bodies are wired for time somehow and
yeah.
remembering things. And
It's fascinating. I know I feel that way with my birthday. I noticed that just recently as I was reading Basil van der Kolk's "The Body Keeps the Score." Of I always not just feel great as my birthday would come up. And there's this interesting kind of body psychological, and it wasn't until recently I'm like, oh, I think I have issues turning older.
do you? Because I
I
don't
did a
notice
little
that
bit.
you get sad around birthdays.
February I get sick all
Well,
every
February
year.
is February. Let's not get me depressed right now.
But I think like the emotional process is definitely connected to date
Oh, for
or
sure.
specific time. And I think we look forward, there's anticipation. So
Hmm.
I think that's really cool. I know you don't like surprises.
Yeah, I'm
So
not.
that
Yeah,
the anticipation is the big thing of like, let's look forward to what we have coming.
yeah,
And that's enjoyable as well as then the celebration. But it's marking, like for birthdays, it's marking time. How many times I've spun around this big old son of ours, um, and we mark it by little things. I mean, people have cultural differences in how they mark
yeah.
anniversaries or celebrations.
Yeah. Well, and there's personal ones, and there's also ones that belong to a country, like our country that every 9/11, now
No,
has
that's true.
a like a national remembrance of a lot of events, usually having to do with something we experienced together, like a war or Independence Day or whatever. Every country has those too.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to me that we're marked for like we like milestones. We're wired for growth or for dealing with things, maybe like processing things that were hard, celebrating things that were good, marking our stages towards something.
Yeah.
So I feel like anniversaries are kind of marking what we have or what we're missing.
Yeah.
Because birthdays are depressing for a lot of people because it doesn't highlight, oh yay, I've made it another year,
I've survived.
right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of for a lot of people marks, oh, I wish I had done this by this year,
Yeah.
or it highlights what they wish, or I wish people were going to be around me this year or whatever.
And
So,
it's a mark of review
mhm,
almost. So
yeah,
like
yeah.
I hit this and I'm looking back at what this last year was, and it can be a good thing, but it can also be like, oh, like I wasn't kidding. I feel like our anniversaries are coming quicker. I know it's still
Yeah.
the same amount of days, but that time period becomes shorter in comparison to everything we look back on. And so
Hmm.
looking back this year, a lot of good things, but you're also like, oh, okay, so then is there something for me to look forward to? I think we are marked that way, but we are also marked by the dates. I think about that 9/11 that you're talking about. I can still remember that September 11th, 2001,
Of course. Yeah.
or
Everybody remembers where they were
what
those
we're doing,
moments.
and
Yeah.
it's an interesting marker, and
Hmm.
there's things called trauma bonding of like as a society or family, those type of events leave a mark to partly, I think, celebrating eases some of the pain and kind of honoring
Hmm.
those those times that our bodies remember.
Yeah.
So I think that celebration can be good, it can be painful, and we want to talk about all of it.
All of it. Yeah. I mean, usually when we think of anniversaries, we think of the happy ones. We
Yeah.
think of the, mark people have birthday rituals and, wedding anniversary rituals or remembrances of special family events, or moving into a new house or, and like you said, it leaves a mark where a lot of days just go by and your brain and your body don't really record them very
Hmm.
much. But certain big milestones are just recorded in your brain and your body, like moving across country or something big that changes your life or
Yeah.
changes the meaning in your life, or there's a before and after of any of, an event.
Uh-huh.
So then we build rituals around them.
Yeah. And it's going to be different for each person because I think like I hear young dating couples of like this is our month anniversary of dating. I'm like, "Oh, that's cute." We've had almost 400 of those.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's important to them because it's recent and it's marking that
Hmm.
they've been together that amount of time, but it's kind of silly.
Well, we all grow into, like you said, time changes. So,
Yeah.
when we had kids too, you'd say, this is my son who is 9.5 months old. And after a while, those months don't matter. It's years. And I
Yeah.
think so we all grow with our perception of time.
So fun math fact. How many months old are you?
Oh, I'm not doing that math. I could do it, but I don't think we need to count that
Okay,
high.
yeah. Well, but it kind of goes to it's funny because we are very specific with the young,
Hmm.
1 month, 2 month,
Hmm.
9 month, and now when we're a little bit older, we're
Yeah.
like
Well, it does.
we round down.
Sure.
I'm still
And it doesn't matter as much. Honestly, I will say I really have never had any sort of negative feelings with my birthdays. I know for a lot of people, a lot of my friends have had a real crisis leading up to their big birthdays, like their 40th or
yeah.
for me,
What makes it a big birthday?
those round numbers, man, something.
Yeah. So, but isn't that's weird?
Yeah, because I think people set goals too. People
Yeah.
often have these expectations of by this age, I'll whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they have some relationship goal or family goal or career goal. And so it's a kind of a marker or like a deadline.
Yeah.
And so it can feel like, oh, or there's a fear of mortality. I mean, that's just a human condition of like, oh, so we're now in our mid 50s. We have a lot
Wait, what?
less years to live ahead of us than we have behind us.
That's true.
But I don't find, for me, that's not fearful. I have found that post 40, I feel like my life has just expanded. Like I know there's less number of years,
Yeah.
but they're richer. I'm more comfortable with who I am, so the perspective is different for everyone on how that feels to hit
Yeah.
those dates. And it could be very circumstantial. And there might be some years it feels more, like heavy than others.
So with your friends, nameless friends, how do they mark? Because there's like crazy things we've seen that marking in Europe, especially. I won't say the culture, but
You're talking
they're
about,
known the Brits
oh,
going and doing
oh,
like
oh, oh. You're talking about
parties, Hindus,
before
and before
before a wedding
as
where
a kind of honoring a marking.
well, this is just bachelor parties. I thought you were going to talk about the Dutch tradition of congratulating other people on that person's like you would be congratulated on my
Yeah.
birthday,
Yeah,
right?
congratulations on the birth of the birth of your wife,
Yeah.
because I'm the beneficiary of your birth. You
Yeah.
you are just being born.
Yeah. And when we celebrate other people's birthdays, it's a time to tell them we're thankful for who they are and we're thankful for their friendship and
Well, and that's core for us, I think, is that these rituals can be moments of intense connection and bonding
mhm.
and honoring of relationships. It's not, I mean, it is partly celebrating you, and it's celebrating you in the relationships that you
Yeah.
have, and to enjoy those and kind of set aside a time to really, I know it's a lot of work, like still for both of us, and yet there's a sense of, oh, it's enjoyable to honor
Yeah,
our
to gather
time.
people. That's why people gather. I think there is a sense of meaning making with all of the anniversaries we're going to talk about that is another part of the human condition. Like we want to know, what does this mean?
Yeah.
What does this mean about who I am, or who I am in relationship, or what my future holds. So I think that's what kind of comes around at
Yeah.
anniversaries is meaning making of the event or just of that time in your life.
And meaning making is so important because it's what the meaning is for the person. So I know for you, like, fellas, this is important.
Fellas, hey
No,
fellas.
hey, fellas, if you're married, know whether your wife likes a surprise party or not, and ways
We
of
can live and learn.
honoring. Well, because you want to honor in the way that the person enjoys, rather than what you think it should be, whether it's because of social media or what everyone else is doing. It needs to be custom to the person. Like,
Sure.
I threw a surprise birthday party for you once.
Yes. Well, I was pregnant with Ryan. We were in between states. We're living with your parents.
I
Yeah,
know, and it was all,
it
and
was
it was.
very kind and very sweet.
I brought people in from
I know
Arizona
everybody
and
came. My
from.
parents came. Like it was quite an undertaking, and I'm really shocked that you were able to surprise me. But it wasn't like the best moment. I had been dressed cute all
You
day, and then
were
we were like, we're going to the beach for a picnic. So I got in like,
your T-shirt
old
and.
clothes, and it was just like, yeah, we're going for a casual sit in the sand kind of a thing with my little boys, get their buckets, and
Mhm.
turns out everybody's all dressed up on the beach waiting for me to celebrate. And it
Lots of
was very
pictures.
sweet, but it's hard to pull off a surprise in a way that, I mean,
Yeah.
I know some people love it. Everybody's
But
different.
that's what I'm saying, of like,
Yeah.
I thought, oh, Tara will love this. She'll love to be honored, and you did, but the
I
surprise.
loved the effort you put into it. That
Yeah,
was very thoughtful.
right.
But yeah, we
But the
live and
experience, and so
I just find big parties hard in general because I'm an introvert by nature. And to look at a room full of people that I feel like I need to go talk to each of these people,
yeah,
and have to cover all this ground, especially if they're here, on behalf of me.
yeah.
It feels like pressure and it feels like a lot of energy output and a lot of conversations. I would probably feel a lot better with a private dinner with each of those people separately,
Yeah.
you know?
And being able to set that up across time, it would be another way
Yeah.
of marking. So the thing I kind of wanted to highlight here is the marking of that anniversary, the birthday doesn't have to be what tradition holds. It's
Mm,
kind of what
yeah.
you find that fits best for the person.
Right. Well, and I think what you're saying too highlights that part of what makes a birthday depressing or any holiday can just be expectations
Yeah,
that are set by other people for what it should look like.
that's right.
And then when it doesn't, it feels like a letdown or it feels like, you know, I don't know. It's disappointing,
Yeah.
and then that doesn't feel good, and then that memory holds for the next year. Is part of that anticipation.
And then if I'm on this side providing the anticipation, it's like, oh man, that didn't go well. So now there's pressure to do it. And it becomes a pressured activity rather than an expression of joy, connection,
Yeah.
fun, and having to figure that out. And I think, yeah, we've had 33 anniversaries, and we've kind of figured it out of what we enjoy doing. Me being 6,000 miles away from you.
No, we find our way to celebrate. But yeah, I think it is good to think about having your own ritual that's not dependent on somebody, you know, I don't know, planning a celebration for you.
Yeah,
So I know, our daughter-in-law is going to have a birthday this summer too, and she was talking about thinking ahead about the rituals she wants and journaling and maybe going for some quiet time. And I think that was very wise to think ahead, like how can I set aside time that's going to make me feel like I'm making my own meaning of
yeah,
this milestone in my life. So I think sometimes we have to take that part into our own hands, and whatever other people do around those anniversaries is just extra.
yep, yeah,
Find your own way to contemplate, to review, to reflect. I think it is an opportunity for reflection. We do that intentionally on our wedding anniversary.
oh yeah.
We think,
We
you
did that
know,
with friends last
we
night.
did just last night. We were out with some lovely people, and we talked about, the kind of the ritual that we have of looking back to the years ahead that led us here. What has gone well in the last year? What do we see coming up in the next year, 5, 10? What do we want to shoot for?
That's
Like,
right.
what do we want to do for each other?
Which is our vision kit. So it's kind of honoring. We're like, this is where we are. Where do we want to be as a couple, as individuals, and how do we forecast that out? Not in terms of hard goals and we're going to
No.
drive towards that, but having a GPS endpoint that helps guide the path.
Yeah.
And we recalculating
Hmm.
every every
Yeah,
year.
like those things don't have to be set in stone because that can lead to another set of disappointment, like, oh, it didn't meet that goal.
Yeah.
I think those have to be shifting, moving things sometimes.
It's always holding these two things of expectation and connection, because I
Hmm.
think if we don't hold both of them, we could have expectation that's not met, and it wounds us, rather than, oh, like you said, of I appreciate the thought that went into the surprise party. It didn't really fill me with joy, but yet knowing all these people showed up for me and we made an attempt to
Yeah.
surprise you was love.
Yeah.
And so
It's
holding
always,
both of those things, because I think sometimes people get the disappointment and they just hold to that of, then you don't understand me, you don't get me, and you can spiral down that then ends up doing the opposite
yeah.
of the relational satisfaction.
Yeah. I mean, just relationally, I think I struggled with that in the early years. I think most people do. That's one of the functions in an early relationship is people figuring out how much should I expect my partner to just know this about me?
Oh
Because you
yeah.
think,
Yeah.
oh, you should just know me so well. That's the fantasy, right? That you know
Hmm.
me so well, I don't have to tell you what I want or what I need. You know that you anticipate those needs. And I had to drop that dream
I
a few
believe it's
years.
called a
And
fantasy.
it is, and I understand that now. As a young, newly married person, I expected, like, that's kind of the goal of being living with somebody, being married to somebody, is that we know each other so well that we don't have to spell out everything that we need or who we are, how we're changing. But I realized that's really unrealistic. And
Yeah.
once I let go of that was freed up
Yeah.
a lot of space in our relationship for
Yeah.
just saying, you know what, I'm just going to tell you this is how you can help me. This wasn't helpful. I don't have to
Yeah.
just be disappointed or upset when you missed that,
Right.
that mark.
And it helps in terms of the idea of to know and be known. It's like, I want you to know me so well. Well, then let's share of like, hey, this is what I need, or this is what I kind of am thinking about. That putting it out there allows, but it also involves me being vulnerable. Like the fantasy of you'll just know everything is, then I don't have to be vulnerable and you'll know me. There's a part of it of like, oh, I have to open up and
I
be
guess.
vulnerable.
I guess, but it is kind of a, I don't know. Maybe it's just an idealistic view of what a couple relationship can look like. It's just knowing each other so well that you don't even need don't even need to ask.
Yeah, and I think the more repetitions you have, that becomes that way. But you're also a growing, developing person of
Right.
what if I just anticipate what you wanted last year, you'll want this year. That's assuming then static kind of behavior.
I know, but I'm laughing because we're talking about this all in terms of like what Tara needs. And actually,
You don't need hardly
that's the
anything.
part of the
Just
problem.
me. You just need me.
I don't really, I really have probably not been good at ever saying I have any needs, which is not healthy
Yeah.
either.
Well, it was like lunch today, right? So we were having a lunch date just for the two of us and it's like, where do you want to go? And you're like, I don't know, where do you want to go? And I'm like, well, this is your birthday lunch of like where we, and it was that kind of dance of, because it didn't matter.
Well, yeah, I think that was really circumstantial with how many things we had to squeeze in before and after. It was more about like logistics.
Well,
Yeah.
that's how you think, right? You're like, okay, we have this amount of time. Let's go
Yeah.
someplace close,
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than someplace you would enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we really wanted to address because as we talk about anniversaries, we're talking a lot about the happy ones. But
Yeah.
anytime we talk about anniversaries, our body also remembers events that are painful and really hard things in life.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even realize how big a thing that was until I joined your family.
Yeah.
And, the loss of your sister, those dates are really ingrained in your family's rhythms
Yeah.
and really important. And that was the first time in my life that I realized how important those anniversaries are
Yeah,
of
and
loss.
acknowledging it
Yeah.
is acknowledging tenderness, and so yeah, the 21st of June had a grandparent die, my sister die on that day, and it ends up being around Father's Day,
Hmm.
and so there's all of these mixed emotions that
Hmm.
happen, and if we don't talk about them, I mean, for years I tried to avoid thinking about it, talking about it, and my body would respond in
Hmm.
terms of stomach problems and headaches and you see that Basil Vandercock's book, The Body Keeps the Score. If we're not emotionally processing these things and finding rituals to do that,
Hmm.
it's going to come out one way or the other, and it comes out physically, which isn't super great.
Yeah. So just acknowledging it doesn't mean it's not happening in your brain and your body.
Right. Trying to avoid it, which is what I was doing, really had a significant impact on my physical health. And so really having parents of like, no, let's talk about this honor. And it's really hard. I mean, it's not easy to have those conversations. It is now. It's been 42 years, but there's still like we call each other on the 21st of June to
Hmm.
touch base, to
And on her
remember
birthday.
her. Yep, and
Hmm.
we could remember her birthday. But these notable events, it's a remembrance of her, and I think it's somewhat tied to our faith background. We see the Jewish people and the Hebrew people in the Old Testament. When God does something or when there's a painful event, they stack stones of remembrances, and it's the corporate communal way of let's remember this because it's
Hmm.
shaped us, that we can then talk about it when we see it. It brings it to the forefront. It makes the memory more tangible
Hmm.
than than not. I know people in our community, when my sister died, they planted a tree outside the elementary school, and so there was really a connection for the community. Now that tree died,
Yeah,
and
that's a peril.
yeah, and I mean, our family has a sense of humor, kind of a morbid sense of humor, so it was kind of funny. And just replace the tree, and
Hmm.
again, that specific tree wasn't as important as what it symbolizes. And I think that's where, for you and I, the date isn't as important as there's an acknowledgement of this timekeeping.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just find it fascinating that our bodies do this sort of cyclical thing where we remember the time because we've had our own losses in our own life. And,
Yeah,
and sometimes because they weren't, well, our miscarriages, I hadn't known these children like
yeah,
physically,
yeah.
but there's something about that time period that still comes up, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. Like, this is how absent I was. I don't know what those dates are. Do you remember those
I
dates?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's the grief is going to have a different impact
Mhm.
on, and how do we share that versus how do the one person be left alone in that?
Mhm.
It ends up being an additional loss or pain in that process.
Yeah, and I think what people fear is that if I bring it up, it's gonna be, adding to the trauma, adding to the grief, but not bringing it up can be just as bad.
Yeah.
So I think what we're saying is that it exists and that our bodies, especially on those dates, those anniversary dates of a hard event or a loss, our body and our brain is going to be processing that, and it's healthy
Yeah.
to honor it in some sort of way. So pushing it away, like I know people who have those dates in their lives, those anniversaries of hard things,
Hmm.
who sense it coming for weeks or even months in advance, like dread it
Yeah.
because they they know that it's going to bring it to the surface in a particular way. But pushing it away doesn't make it not happen.
No.
So how do we honor it in a way that's healthy for our body, that helps us process it in a way towards growth instead of compounding the trauma?
Yeah.
So maybe even planning for time around that date. My mom has built some rituals with friends over lost dates of my dad's death, and she goes out with a friend who has similar, loss stories
Yeah.
around a similar time, and they just plan we're having lunch together. Just the two of us are going
Hmm.
to have lunch, and we're going to talk about those people, and we're going to mention their names, and it's something that she can anticipate with a good feeling instead of a dread,
Yeah.
too. Of just like I know I'm going to have lunch with that friend. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah. I think for people that haven't had loss, it's really scary to and nerve-wracking to, like, what do I do?
Hmm.
And I want to give at least someone that has had a death of a sibling at a very formative age. I wasn't upset by people asking, like, hey, we're thinking about this. Do you want to talk about it? So a curiosity stance
Hmm.
was great. I would always say no. And the no wasn't like a rejection of them. It was more of my internal state. But them bringing it up, it was painful, but it also was loving. And I experienced it as that. And so I think for people that haven't had loss of, it's okay to ask. And yes, it's going to make the person uncomfortable, and it's going to be soothing to them. It'll be both things. It'll be painful and it'll be important. The absence of that, and we've been talking about this
Mm.
around other issues, the silence leaves, like, I don't know if you've even thinking about this. I don't
Mm.
know if you're thinking about me. There's an isolation that is worse than the retouching of the grief, the kind of raw nerve touch, because the pain lets you know, oh, there's love. That, like, the flip side of that pain is love. The reason it hurts is because I care.
Yeah.
And so someone touching that is someone on some level touching my love for my sister.
Hmm.
Now I might be like, yeah, I'm not interested in doing that right now. That's not a rejection of you.
Hmm.
That is a comment of, I don't want to feel this pain, or I don't want to cry in public right now, or, this isn't the time or the place.
Yeah.
All of those things might be, but I so appreciate people remembering the date and reaching out, whether it's a text.
Hmm.
And it is painful and sad. And it's beautiful to see how people love me and are thinking about me
Hmm.
as a personal story. So I want people to know that haven't had that are afraid of doing anything.
Hmm.
Be bold in your love for others. And yeah, it's going to be messy. It's going to be painful, and it'll be okay.
Yeah. That trying, even if it's not the right thing, is better than the silence.
Yeah, the silence is deafening. It feels like you're all alone in your grief. And
Hmm.
what we talk about of being with each other, being present with each other, is so healing.
Hmm.
That feeling alone is the worst thing. And I think it's hard when you're a widow or a widower, that if you don't have someone like your mom has,
Hmm.
then you're feeling in isolation. Even when the kids reach out, it's still different than a friend or a partner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad I learned that from your family because it's helped me in knowing how to reach out to other people.
Yeah.
And families I worked with who've had the loss of a baby, which is really hard because a lot of people really are afraid to talk about that. So they're really alone.
Yeah.
So, those losses that I've been a part of, and I put that date in my calendar and it never goes away. And I
Hmm.
send them or I call them on that date every year.
Yeah.
And I might be the only one who remembers that's the day that baby was born, even
Yeah.
though they weren't around.
Yeah. And we worked on that with our pregnancies of like, in the US here, it seems to be a cultural norm of you don't tell that you're pregnant until the first trimester's done,
Yeah, yeah,
12 weeks. Um, and think about this. If you are having a loss early, the baby dies before then you're alone in that. You haven't told anybody. And we talked about this. How hard would that be to say, oh, we're sad because we were pregnant and we lost the pregnancy? You've told them new information, and then you've told them about the grief of the new information, and then we end up having to take care of them.
mm-hmm.
And so we made a choice to tell right away, not because it was safe or smart,
Yeah,
but it forced vulnerability for us
exactly.
and forced the idea of needing community if things go badly.
Yeah. We want to share the joy. Well, there's
Yeah.
joy even if there's risk.
And have prayer. Like
Mm-hmm.
the time that we need support, if we're silent, then we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were kind of countercultural, I think,
Yeah, I don't
in
know.
doing that.
Yeah, it wasn't the usual way it was done.
No. And it was hard,
Yeah,
not fun, but I think it's healthy,
yeah,
or it was for us. And so we want you to be thinking about these things as anniversary issues come up, as really in this section, thinking about grief and how do we do this well and lean into it and find ways to honor. I find it interesting still. Going to the cemetery is such a natural thing for my family as
mm-hmm.
a kind of anniversary issue, and
Yeah.
taking care of the tombstones, and finding little trinkets there that people leave in honoring, has just been part of the rhythm of our anniversary of life and celebrating Kim's life and grandparents' lives. But that's not normal.
I mean, it might be normal. It's just not as common.
Yeah, so that was a difference
Yeah,
in our relationship
yeah.
too. Like the anniversary issues and death weren't as close and connected for you.
No, no. And I think there's a generational thing too, where a lot of things just weren't talked about at all. If there
Yeah,
was a loss, they figured the best way to get over it is just not talk about it,
yeah,
or a divorce, or whatever.
yeah,
Lots of hard family events. Let's just leave it alone. Let's not bring it up. That's just going to bring pain. And so that was kind of the MO I think my family came from, of just leave it alone, don't
yeah,
talk about it. You're going to cause trouble if you bring it up. So
yeah,
it was a
yeah,
very different paradigm to walk into your family
yeah. And so
where
we've had to navigate that
yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, where we talk about everything, like everything is out, from
Everything.
bathroom habits to death and grieving and anniversary issues.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me as a clinician too, like anniversary dates around painful things manifest in psychological and emotional,
Physical.
physical issues. So when
Hmm.
I'm doing an intake clinically, I'm going to do a timeline and track when things are happening,
Hmm.
because a good amount of time where things flare up and
Mm.
when they happen are often, if we look at the genogram and kind of dates, are associated with family loss, family trauma, or big changes.
And it can be unconscious, right? For the
Oh,
person
yeah.
experiencing it, they don't even realize it's connected.
No, they're not aware of it, and their bodies are very much aware of it, which,
Hmm.
I mean, it sounds like, when I say it out loud, it
Yeah,
sounds weird.
yeah,
And yet I've seen it for 30
yeah.
years of clinical practice of that things manifest themselves around these dates that are very significant, and might not be thinking about them. We might be pushing them down, but they bubble up in different ways, or they bubble up in different parts of the system responding. It might be my anniversary issue, but the kids act out at that time because of the system.
Yeah.
And so one thing to think about is when there are struggles and when there are periodic struggles of looking at the dates and thinking about important joining, loss, transitions that have happened around that time
Hmm.
and how you're navigating that together.
Yeah. So what are some specific practices you'd recommend for, honoring or celebrating or processing those timeline
Yeah.
events?
I think the first thing is to really, I want you not to be afraid of, don't be afraid of the pain, the tears. The fear is it's going to break you or you're going to be overwhelmed. And having a little compassion on yourself of like, yeah, it's going to be painful and you will be okay. You might
So
not
that's for the
feel
grief
okay. That's for the
anniversaries.
grief
Yeah.
anniversaries. For the joy anniversaries, marking it by, for us, it's marking it with a relational event, whether
Hmm.
it's you and I, the kids in the family. I mean, my folks have done that with us of marking significant events by taking the family, the extended family on vacation. Like my dad's 60th birthday. You remember what we did for that?
We go to Disney World.
We went to Disney World. And so there's,
Yeah.
and it wasn't that I think dad was super excited or wanting to go to Disney World, but it was about the celebration together. We got to honor him and he got to give joy to the family. And I think that's center. That's an example that I think my father has given me is it's not always what you enjoy doing, but it's enjoying being with the people regardless of what you're doing.
Hmm.
And so setting up that way,
Hmm.
I think is another one. How about for you? What are some practices both on the joy and the pain?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on the celebration ones. First of all, don't hang your hat on the date. I think there's things that I hear from other people of being upset about not, being celebrated enough on their birthday or not getting to be together on a particular date.
Yeah,
I
or a
think we've
birthday month.
Yeah, yeah. Some people need to be celebrated the whole month. I think
Yeah.
that's a little much. But I think we're pretty flexible about that. And I
Yeah.
think that's helpful in not having it a pressure-filled thing of expectations.
Yeah.
So, don't put all the expectations of how you're going to celebrate those happy events on other people and what they're going to plan to celebrate you or your shared event or whatever.
Yeah.
Like like today, I went out, I bought my own flowers. And I'm not saying that in a way like anybody let me down. It's a
Yeah.
joy for me, and
Hmm.
it's a way to take. I care about like what is on my table,
Yeah.
so I'll happily buy it myself. It's kind of a fun thing to pick out which color I'm going to highlight,
Yeah.
this week. So take some responsibility for your own rituals.
Yep.
I think is one thing. And it is about the people, how do you find connection? Even if you're far away from the people that you love on special dates, there's always a way to connect,
Yeah.
to find connection, to reach out, to be the one to reach out instead of waiting to be reached out to.
Yep.
I did remark today on the strange ritual that has become of the Facebook
Oh, the
happy birthday
Facebook
posts.
birthday
I find
post.
it very strange that people say happy birthday, people who I haven't seen in 40 years. It's very nice to be, you know,
Yeah.
to be acknowledged, but it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Like
Well, the action doesn't necessarily match the
it doesn't
intimacy.
match what the relationship
Yeah.
is or lack of relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's lots of things that you can decide if you want to be
Mhm.
part of or not.
Well, and I use Facebook to practice my poetry this year.
Yes, you did. I can't believe you did that.
I know you woke up and you're like, "What is
I was like,
this?"
did you write that?
I did write this. I felt like Dr. Seuss. It's a little cheesy,
That's all right.
but so that we have the connection. It's fun to surprise you and acknowledge, and it was kind of acknowledging you and letting the world know so that you could get all of those. See how many thousand birthday greetings.
Yeah. Oh, good. You're good at helping with that like strange Facebook thing
Yeah,
posted on
keep on
Facebook.
keep on posting. Let's see if we can get it up to 10,000
Yeah.
birthday
Oh, no,
greetings.
no. We're not counting greetings.
Because then you have to respond to each one.
Heart, heart, heart. Yeah, but I will also say, I think it is an extraordinary time for reflection. I think it's what our bodies and our minds try to do is process, make sense of, make meaning of. So we can be intentional about that. If a birthday feels like a painful thing,
Yeah, one step closer to the
figure out
grave.
why. What's the fear there? What's going on in your life or your health that's feeling like a burdensome, depressing thing. Like it's a time to reflect and find out if this is feeling heavy, what can I do to lighten it and make it bring more joy or
Yeah.
reach towards the thing that I feel like I'm missing.
And that self-reflection can happen before of it's coming up of
Mm-hmm.
what will, because we have friends that are like, oh, I need to go on a trip by myself, or I need to go journal, or I need to go out with my girlfriends or guy friends rather than with you all, and being able to communicate that. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
self-assessment and then there's the communication. And like with us of, I care about you enough that I want that for you, even if it's like, oh, I kind of want to be with you. If you're like, hey, I need to go someplace sunny with my friends, wanting that for you rather
Mm.
than
Maybe I should think about that for next year.
it's too bad you were born in July.
It's good. I'm a summer
You're
person.
a summer baby.
I'm a summer girl. Yeah, so for the ones that are more painful,
Yeah.
I don't think I have been good at building my own rituals for those. I think that's something I'm still learning that I need to acknowledge
Yeah.
that those things they keep coming back around. And so how do you think ahead and make space
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah.
To just not keep my MO with anything that's painful is to just and that's part of what our busyness is. Like if I just
Hmm.
keep busy, I won't have to
Yeah.
sit and think too much.
Yeah.
So making time for that, I think, would be a healthy thing.
Yeah. And sometimes it's helpful. Sublimation is the psychological term of where, like on Father's Day or on the 21st, we try to go to a baseball game. It's not
Hmm.
that we're avoiding thinking about Kim, but it's also realizing life goes on. And so there's an acknowledgement and then there's a living part of it. And I
Right.
think the grief part is again holding both things
Yeah.
of lament and mourning and sadness and joy and love of what we do have, and
Right.
living in that space. And it's going to, at different years, it was balanced differently.
Hmm.
And so, but seeking out the balance of looking at both of those things, and it might be heavy on grief one year, heavy on play another year, but thinking about that balance on
Mm.
those anniversary days is really important.
Yeah. We can hold both things at the same time. That's life.
Yeah. Hey,
Joy and suffering at the same time.
that's right. That's us. And I think I just heard the doorbell, so I think we have to go because surprise, you're having a birthday
Oh
party.
boy.
So I hope you enjoyed. Do all those things that you're supposed to do with
Yeah,
podcasts.
we'd love a review. Seriously.
Yeah,
We love words.
and leave us an email or a social media post or a happy birthday post to Tara about
Oh,
what
not
about
necessary.
about what your traditions are, what
Oh,
your
yeah.
anniversary events are, both the joyful patterns and rituals and also the painful ones. We'd love to hear from you.